He's Tim.
And he's Harry.
And we're about to turn paper sideways.
You're listening to Turn Paper Sideways, the podcast where we talk about cardboard and rotating it 90 degrees.
We talk about all things Magic the Gathering, from current affairs to our favourite format, Commander. And on today's show, we're going to put our heads together to decide what the best cards to come out of Battlebond are.
And we are very excited to do so. This set is really exciting for Commander and for Magic in general. But before we get into that, if you want to find us on social media, you can find us on Twitter at TPSMTG.
You could send us an email at turnpapersideways@gmail.com. Say hello, tell us how you're enjoying the podcast, or you could complain at us that you got a paper cut, because we all know how awful paper cuts are.
I don't want to hear that. Don't email us about that.
Yeah, I got one today. It was really bad.
Oh man, I didn't. It was good.
Well done. Congrats.
If you want to support us by giving us a 5-star review on iTunes or Podbean or Pod Racing or Podness, then we'd really appreciate it. And it goes a long way to helping people find us and just growing the Turn Paper Sideways family.
Yeah, it does. And another way you can support the show is by going to patreon.com/turnpapersideways and donating as little as $1 an episode. And this does go a really long way. We are actually about to buy a new microphone for me with our patron support money, and that's going to increase the quality of the show. And we're just going to get better and better the more that we have support. So if you like us that much, we'd be very grateful for that kind of support.
And if you already like us that much, thank you very much for liking us that much.
Absolutely.
And giving us your hard-earned cash. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So Tim, do you want to do the news?
Oh, the news. Harry. Red deck wins.
Yeah, so this is something from the world of Standard. We don't often talk about Standard. Tim actually doesn't have a clue what this is.
No,
I just told him that the news was going to be red deck wins. This just blew me away, and it's quite worrying about the state of Standard. Just reminds me why I don't play.
Oh, really?
7 of the top 8 decks from Pro Tour Dominaria were a variation on mono red aggro.
Oh my goodness.
So there were several classic mono red aggro with Hazaret and whatever. There was a black variation with a little splash of black, and there was something else going on. But basically, red is stupidly overpowered, and Chain Whirler, Goblin Chain Whirler, the 3 red Goblin chap. Apparently that's a bit busted. So
can you see that in the distance, Harry? Coming down from the sky. Can you see that?
It?
It's getting bigger. It looks like a banhammer, Harry.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. But, we're more interested in Commander and today Two-Headed Giant. So, shall we get on with the Battlebond review?
Let's do it. Do you want to take the first mechanic?
New mechanic. Oh, new mechanics. There are some excellent new mechanics in Battlebond. And the first one we're going to talk about is Assist. Now, Assist is it's only good in multiplayer formats because
it's true.
So, Assist is the spell has a cost of, for example, 6 white, and Assist says that another player can pay up to 6 of this spell's cost. So it's always the generic amount, as far as I can tell. So,
right.
So the first card is Play of the Game, which costs 6 white. It's a sorcery with Assist, and it says exile all non-land permanents. And so you have to pay the white part of this mana cost, but you can persuade another player at the table to pay up to 6 of the rest.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, this feels like a Commander card without Assist. Exile all non-land permanents for 8 mana, and it's in mono white. But being able to cast it with the help of someone else and in Two-Headed Giant, it's kind of more tactical. But the thing I really love about Assist, and we'll touch on this as we go through all the other cards, being able to do this in a multiplayer game where you're not on a team. You say, look, we really need to cast this card right now. I really need your help to cast this. This is there's going to be some really fun stuff coming up because of this mechanic. So the next one is Gang Up, and it costs X and a black. It's an instant, and the assist is other players can pay up to X, so really any amount. And it says destroy target creature with power X or less. This is sweet. So I can see lots of situations where you've only got 5 mana, and your opponent has something with power 5, so you need 1 more mana to destroy that creature. You say, can you just give me 1 mana, and I'll pay you back by not attacking you or by destroying that thing that you don't like. Can you just give me 1 mana? I think I'm really excited about this mechanic. It's going to be really fun. So just destroying a creature is sweet.
Yeah, notably, assist is actually only one other player, so you can't ask 3 or 4 players at the table to pay for it. You can only ask one. So if you ask one person to pay it and they don't, I think you can actually move on to the next player and say, "Can you help me with this instead?"
Sweet.
But if nobody pays for it, the spell doesn't fizzle and go to your graveyard. It goes back to your hand. So because of the way that spells are cast, you declare the spell and then you pay its cost. So you declare that you're paying it, and presumably by this point you've already bargained with someone and said, "Will you pay for this with me?" And if they go, "Haha, no, I won't," it just goes back to your hand. It doesn't
and you've
get
still got
countered by the game, and you've still got the mana up.
Oh, so it's more kind of help me, but if you don't, I'm not completely stuffed unless I'm tapped out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. That's sweet.
So we've got another one. It's Out of Bounds. It's 3 and a blue, an instant with counter target spell. So another player can pay up to 3 of this spell's cost. Do you want to take this other one? We'll rattle through this one and then we'll.
Yeah. The next one is The Crowd Goes Wild. It's an X and a green for a sorcery, and it says support X, and support is put a 1/1 counter on each of up to X target creatures. But it also says each creature with a 1/1 counter on it gains trample until end of turn. So this is sweet. This is like an Overwhelming Stampede or a Pathbreaker Ibex. So this is like overrun effect, but with X creatures or 1 creature with X 1/1 counters, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah. So you choose the value of X is quite important here.
Yeah.
You can't say, "Do you want to pay for this?" and somebody goes, "Well, yeah, I'll plough all of my 10 spare mana into it." You say, "I'd like to offer you 3 creatures," so you can choose 3 creatures to put the +1/+1 counters on.
So, interesting thing about this card, when I first saw it, I thought it was from an unset, because cards usually break the border of the art frame, and this card's got a little white strip at the bottom of the art with people's legs hanging over it. And it looks like they've broken the border, but it's just the art.
Yeah, it does look a little bit like that. I think, and this is also sort of a bit of a tongue-in-cheek set, so The Crowd Goes Wild. It does look a little bit like an unset. It's a lot more sort of fun. It's not sort of serious fantasy. It's quite whimsical. Yeah,
you can tell from all the 4 cards we've read out so far that it's all about tournaments and stuff. It's play of the game, Gang Up, Out of Bounds, The Crowd Goes Wild. Like it's about gladiator competitions, basically.
Yeah, I quite, from what I've seen, I like the setting. It's quite fun that it's all taking place in an arena, which is quite confusing at the moment.
Yes, big time.
So, what do you think generally of these? You sound like you like them.
Yeah, I like the stories this is going to make. Oh, that time when I didn't have enough mana to cast the thing, but I almost did, and they said they'd help me and they didn't, or they said they'd help me and we won, and then I lost because I made him a promise, sort of thing. I think, realise both of those stories I just told aren't good stories, but what I mean is I think this is going to be really fun. There's going to be lots of politics, and I love the politics of EDH. I think that's one of the main reasons it's so popular. This is just going to help that, I think.
Yeah, there are plenty of other cards with assist as well. I think there are 2 in each colour, but I think the ones that we've read out there are probably some of the best for EDH.
Yeah.
And I think so. It's hard to tell, but is 6 white a justifiable cost for you to pay on your own? I think for this to really work, I'd want it to be. I'd want to be happy paying that cost on my own to have the effect. Like Out of Bounds, I think is probably one of the best ones because 4 mana is not too bad for a counter spell. If you really need to counter something, I think I'd be willing to pay 4 mana for it in a pinch. There are some counter spells that cost 4 that I run, but they always have draw a card or like rewind, untap 4 lands sort of thing on. So there's no bonus, but it is a hard counter, and sometimes you just need that. But the bonus that it could possibly cost you only 1 blue mana, if you just hold up only 1 blue mana and say, look, if I don't counter, I've got a counter spell, but if I don't counter it, we'll lose the game. Will you help me pay for it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's when it's useful. Some of these, I'm not so sure. I think you're right. It's good for politics. Like Gang Up, you can persuade somebody to help out. But I think it's been said by a lot of other people on other podcasts that these are probably only good if you're tapped out, except for the coloured mana. And so you're going to have to hold up, you're going to want to plan it out, hold up black. And I think people are going to sort of cotton on to that after a while, that it's sort of like using somebody. It's planning in advance that you're going to sort of make it look like you haven't got enough mana to cast it. It's going to be quite a common tactic with these. Personally, I don't think I'm going to put them in any decks because I just don't think they're good enough. I think there are better alternatives, but I agree they could be quite a lot of fun.
So I thought you'd like the Crowd Goes Wild because it's that effect, but being able to, if you had 4 creatures, pay 4x and just choose one of your creatures and just get that bonus of giving trample, isn't that? But there are better versions of that spell.
Well, Overrun itself costs 5.
So yeah, it's just not as good.
And then there's Overwhelming Stampede. Does that cost 5 as well?
Something like that.
They're not that expensive if you're going to be paying 1 for each creature anyway. So I just think there are better alternatives.
Yeah, I think you're right.
There are 2 creatures that we've picked out here. I think there are a few more, but these ones we particularly like. Tim, do you want to take the first one?
Yeah. There's Magma Helion, and it's 6 and a red for a 5/4 creature Helion, and it's got assist, and it's also got trample and haste. We were talking about this. This is Harry's made a good point. This is kind of like guys, we really need to just kill this guy because he's going to win next turn. He's only got 5 life left, and this got trample and haste. If you could just pay the extra mana so we can kill this one guy, and then with this just little creature, kind of out of nowhere sort of thing. If you don't have the mana for it, but you suddenly do because your teammates or your opponents are playing for it.
Yeah, and I back to the you've got to sort of be tapped out. Obviously, you're only going to cast this on your turn, and it's going to be quite hard to persuade somebody to help you cast this. But if you can make it look like you just drew it after casting something else and going, I held up this 1 red mana because I thought Blasphemous Act might help, but Blasphemous Act isn't actually going to help. But this trample haste creature with 5 power is going to help. Yeah. You might be able to persuade them that way, but I think it's going to be very situational. But I do like it. Again, for those little politics moments, it could be quite fun. So this other one that we've picked out is fan favourite. It's 3 and a black for a creature human rogue. It's a 2/2 and it's got pay 2. Fan favourite gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Any player may activate this ability.
I really like this one. I think this is really fun. Fun combat steps when it's like I'm attacking with a fan favourite. It's just a 2/2, but everyone's untapped, and if they don't block, it could be a lot bigger because anyone can make it 1 bigger. I think that's really sweet.
Yeah, I think this is one I'm more likely to play. It seems a bit more fun, just because there's sort of a bit of a chaos element to it.
The thing is, I can't see myself playing this, but I hope that someone who I play against has it, so I can interact with it and play it. But I don't think it's good enough to go in a deck.
Do you think if somebody attacked one of your opponents with this, and you had Tainted Strike in hand, you might buff it and then also cast Tainted Strike if you had the chance?
I think I would do that. That would be pretty sweet. Yeah, I really like this card. But I can't see myself playing it, which is sad. Like, I need someone else to play it. Maybe in an an unstable deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely. A lot of these cards I feel like not really, but maybe in an undeck because it's a little bit silly and it's fun. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to start us off with the next mechanic?
Yeah, so the next mechanic is the friend or foe mechanic. This is pretty sweet. This is kind of like the vote mechanic from Conspiracy 1 and 2. So the first one, I'll just read it and you can see what the cards do. This Regner's Sanctum, and it's 3 and a white for a sorcery. And it says, for each player, choose friend or foe. Each friend puts a 1/1 counter on each creature they control. Each foe chooses 1 untapped creature they control, then taps the rest. I think this is sweet. It's such a political card. Again, it's like you're helping me, so you choose you as a friend, but everyone else tap all your creatures. I think this is sweet. And modular cards are always good. you never don't want your card to say more than one thing. So this is exactly that, but it affects everyone all the time.
The thing I like about these cards is that often you make an agreement in Commander that I won't target you, I won't destroy your creature, I won't make you sacrifice anything. I get a little bit legalistic when I'm making deals, and I make sure there are no loopholes. And so this is a card that you can still cast without betraying somebody that you've made an agreement with, because you can select them as foe. A lot of other spells would say you get a good effect, everyone else gets a bad effect. This, you get to choose who gets the good effect and who gets the bad effect. So another one is Zundersplit's Judgment. It's 4 and a blue for a sorcery. For each player, choose friend or foe. Each friend creates a token that's a copy of a creature they control, and each foe returns a creature they control to its owner's hand.
I like this. I think a theme with both these cards, and possibly more, is that they get to choose. So the issue is you're kind of giving them a choice. So unless they have one creature, it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
Because they get to choose.
On this card, I see the foe section as gravy. So friends creating a copy. So 5 mana, you create a copy of your best creature, and everyone else returns something to their hand. That is just like an extra bit of goodness. Yeah,
that's a good point. And in a team game as well, this is obviously all these cards in a two-headed giant deck. These are great.
Yeah. I'd say almost busted. 5 mana to get 2 tokens of your 2 best creatures.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
And your opponent gets something bad. Yeah, that's crazy. This next one is Vertice's Maneuver. It's 2 and a black for a sorcery. For each player, choose friend or foe. Each friend returns a creature card from their graveyard to their hand. Each foe sacrifices a creature they control. I like this. It's just recursion with free removal.
Yes, exactly. 2 and a black is sort of a fair cost to pay for getting a creature card back out of your graveyard, I think.
Yeah.
It's probably equivalent to a lot of other spells that get run in my meta, and that I'd be happy to run in my decks. So again, just having that gravy of each other player sacrifices a creature is great.
Really
and
nice.
In the right black sacrifice deck, other people, you get bonuses off their creatures dying. That triggers your things like the thing that creates treasure tokens. What's it called?
Revel in Riches.
Yeah, like Revel in Riches, things like that.
Yeah.
I think this is potentially a really good card for Commander.
This is going in my Zada deck, because Zada dies a lot and she's not my Commander. This is getting Zada back with upside. This is definitely I like this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Korvath's Fury is our next one. It's 4 and a red for a sorcery. For each player, choose friend or foe. Each friend discards all cards from their hand, then draws that many cards +1, and Korvath's Fury deals damage to each foe equal to the number of cards in their hand. I have had a wheels deck, and I don't think there are enough wheels in Magic. And so I'm thrilled that this has been printed, because I really do like wheel. So in the wheel deck, if I had this in it, I would choose friend for everybody, because I want everybody to wheel in cards.
Yeah. Unless there's that one guy who's on 4 life.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. But I love wheel effects. 5 mana for and everybody wheels and draws that many cards +1 is great.
Yeah.
But 5 mana for you wheel and everybody takes damage in a mono red deck is fantastic.
Yeah, card draw and burn in one. That's great.
Yeah, I do really like this card, and I think I've actually just built rebuilt a Boros deck, and this might go in there because there's very little card draw I've got for it.
You should definitely put this in.
Probably.
This next one is Pier's Whim. I really like this one. It's 3 and a green for a sorcery. Each player chooses friend or foe. Each friend searches their library for a land card, puts it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffles their library. I really like that. Each foe sacrifices an artifact or enchantment they control. The reason I really, really like this is because 9 times out of 10, someone's got a really troublesome artifact or enchantment. More so enchantments, because people have artifact ramp. but they might just have one enchantment or one artifact that's causing you trouble, so they don't have a choice about which one they're getting rid of. So I really like this. This is ramp, but also get rid of those troublesome things that you've just played, and you don't have a choice. Because, I mean, when I think about when I have an enchantment, I usually just have one enchantment out that's kind of doing work for me. So I really, really like this card.
I see this as amazing on turn 4 when everybody's ramping. If you're the only green deck, or if there's at least one non-green deck at the table, if you cast this on turn 4, this is exactly what you want to be doing on turn 4 in a green deck, ramping.
Yeah, exactly.
But you get rid of everybody's signets or their chromatic lantern or whatever. The way that everyone's playing their artifact ramp, and you get to put them back while you advance. This one is my favourite of all of them.
And even better, if you're playing a mono green deck, odds are you're casting this on turn 3, and if you're really lucky, turn 2, if you've got Soul Ring. So
perhaps
casting this even earlier, really messing everyone up. I really like this card. This is going in some decks. For sure.
This is the sort of card that could lead to you running away with the game quite early.
Yes, exactly.
Pretend in the right deck and with the right starting hand, this is very powerful.
Yeah.
So something we talked about with the Professor when we interviewed him all those episodes ago was that Wizards keeps making political cards to sort of force political interaction.
Yeah.
This does feel a little bit like that, and I'm not so keen on that element of it.
Yeah.
But because these are such good cards, I don't think I mind too much. But these are cards which do sort of make up a political element to the game that wouldn't be there otherwise.
Yeah.
I said back then, I prefer to use, ordinary, generic good cards that fit in with my deck's theme to be political. And be political more with my words than with my cards. So this is perhaps not what some people are looking for.
Yeah.
But I still think these are great cards.
Yeah, they are, and they're fun. And you're not going to... maybe you will, but when someone casts Piers Whim, you'll be annoyed because you just lost your signet. But you will be like, wow, that card's really good.
Probably.
Maybe your first thought would be, damn it, Wizards, stop it.
Maybe.
Which probably would be my thought if I just lost my only mana rock. But I think I really like what they're doing. I absolutely understand the argument against this sort of card, but more so recently I've really been kind of well, they make all the other cards, so they can do what they want. I'm really glad they're doing this sort of set. It's really for me. This is definitely for the Tim Smiths of the world.
Yeah, across the board, this is a great set, and people are calling it Commander Masters because there's so many good cards for Commander. And I haven't had a chance to draft this yet, and so as of when this is released, I still won't have done. But I will give it a go. I think I'm looking forward more to playing Sealed.
Yeah.
I think that might be more up my alley with this set. But yeah, some of these cards are great in Commander.
Yeah.
So the next mechanic. We start with 2 cards that we read at the start of our last show when we were just looking at the spoilers for Battlebond. And so the next mechanic is Partner With. And so this is a variation on the Partner mechanic where you get a legendary creature which can partner with another legendary creature. But unlike Partner that we saw in the Commander set, it's partner with only that creature. So it can't mix and match with all the other partners. With all the partners in this set, it's only with the one creature it can partner with.
Yeah.
And so these first ones are Will Kenrith and Rowan Kenrith, and these are actually planeswalkers which partner with each other. So Tim, do you want to read Will Kenrith?
Yeah, so Will Kenrith is 4 blue for a legendary planeswalker Will. It's a 4 loyalty planeswalker. First ability is +2. Until your next turn, up to 2 target creatures each have base power and toughness 0-3 and lose all abilities. It also has -2. Target player draws 2 cards. Until your next turn, instant and sorcery and planeswalker spells that player casts cost 2 less to cast. And it also has -8. Target player gets an emblem with, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy.
Rowan Kenrith is a planeswalker which costs 4 red. It enters with 4 loyalty, and its +2 is during target player's next turn, each creature that player controls attacks if able. Its -2 is Rowan Kenrith deals 3 damage to each tapped creature target player controls. And its -8 is target player gets an emblem with whenever you activate an ability that isn't a mana ability, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. So these two can be your commander. It says that on the bottom, and I displayed a little bit of a disgust the last time we spoke about these. And
Tim still really likes that sentence.
Okay, good. I still don't. The reason I don't like that is because the Rules Committee has said that they're not making Planeswalkers legal as commanders. And it feels a little bit like Wizards going behind their back and saying, here you go, players, you can.
I can see that.
And so it's sort of raising barriers between Wizards and the Rules Committee, which just feels like it's going to get quite difficult for... I feel like if we carry on too much down this route, it's going to start creating a divide within the way people play Commander. And while I think it's really good for people to play Commander however they want to, I think it's also really good for there to be one set of rules that new players can refer to.
Yeah.
And this sort of confuses the issue a little bit.
So when I first started playing Magic was around Khans, and when I first started playing EDH was Commanders 2014, which was the Planeswalker decks, and someone came in and said, I've got a rules question with Commander. Can I have legendary creatures or Planeswalkers? And I was like, yeah, you can have Planeswalkers. It was a long time before I found out that wasn't true. So I can see why people have a problem with this, but I'm just too excited about this pair to not be
Fair
excited.
enough. Well, these are in your colours as well. You love red and blue, so I can understand why you're excited. If they were green and white, would you be as excited?
No, but I think I know someone who would be quite excited.
Maybe, and maybe I wouldn't. Who knows?
Maybe not.
We'll find out when they print green and white Planeswalker Commanders.
We haven't got a green and white pair next, but we have got a black and white pair next. So this is Krav the Unredeemed and Regna the Redeemer. So it's a bit of symmetry. That's sweet. Krav the Unredeemed is 4 and a black for a 3/3 legendary creature demon, and it has partner with Regna the Redeemer. And it also has, this is so good, it has black, sacrifice X creatures. So that's the cost. And it says target player draws X cards and gains X life. Put X 1/1 counters on Krav the Unredeemed.
Wow.
There are no words, Harry. I'm really excited about this card. This is really sweet. Even without Regna, this is really sweet.
Okay, I like him with Regna because Regna the Redeemer is a legendary creature angel which costs 5 and a white. It's a 4/4 with partner with Krav the Unredeemed, with flying, and at the beginning of each end step, if your team gained life this turn, create 2 1/1 White Warrior creature tokens.
Yep.
How easy is it to gain life on other people's turns in black and white?
Costs 1 black and 1 creature, or all the other ways that you can already gain life in black and white.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can, if you've got enough black mana, you can... with these two on the board, you can create a loop where you just keep creating creature tokens to sacrifice to gain new life and draw cards.
Yeah,
that's nuts. But also, if you've also got Soul Warden, Soul's Attendant, things like that. When other people are casting creatures, you get life off that. There's so many ways to gain life, and so I think this could be a fantastic black-white tokens deck. It's taking you in a couple of directions because you're going to want sort of the token generating cards, maybe the life gain cards. You're going to want the token sacrificing cards.
Yeah.
There are quite a lot of different angles that this could go. But yeah, like you said, Krav on his own could be an amazing deck.
And actually, Regna as well. If you wanted to build mono white angels life gain, this is just good. I mean, it's not the best angel commander. I wouldn't know who was. I shouldn't have said that without already knowing who was. But like, they're both good cards on their own, which is why they're so sweet that they can partner together. One thing we haven't said about partner, because it doesn't say it on the Planeswalkers, is I'm just going to read the rules for partner with. When this creature enters the battlefield, target player may put Regna into their hand from their library then shuffle.
So this is if you cast Krav.
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
And then Regna says, when this creature enters the battlefield, target player may put Krav into their hand from their library, then shuffle.
Really, really sweet. So it's an odd wording. I like it because it's shorter than search your library for Krav. But basically, go and get the other one and put it in your hand.
I don't think this is odd wording because they've changed the template.
Yeah.
So they're trying to make it simpler, more easy to understand, more up to date. But this is built so you can, in Battlebond, each of you and your teammate can have one of these in your deck.
Nice.
And you can go and get it with the other one's card. Fantastic.
I think it'd be quite fun to for you to make a black deck with Krav as your commander, and me to make a white deck with Regna as my commander, and play as a team. And we only play those decks as a team, or without, because we've already said these cards are quite good. And then when you play Krav, I go and get Regna. So, I mean, it doesn't really make sense because they'll be in the command zone, but still they go together. So it's quite fun to control one and I don't know, it'd be quite bossy.
That is quite a fun way of building potentially. If your meta likes to play two-headed giant, you could each play one of these partners, particularly the ones that say like Regna says, if your team gained life this turn.
Yeah. That's nice.
That would be quite fun. I like that. Okay, so the next ones are Peer, Imaginative Rascal, and Toothy, his imaginary friend. So Peer costs 2 and a green for a legendary creature human. He's a 1/1 with partner with Toothy, imaginary friend, and if one or more counters would be put onto a permanent your team controls, that many +1 of each of those kinds of counters are put onto that permanent instead.
Nice.
What does Toothy say?
Toothy, imaginary friend, is 3 and a blue for a 1/1 legendary creature illusion, and it has partner with Peer, imaginative rascal. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on Toothy, imaginary friend. When Toothy leaves the battlefield, draw a card for each 1/1 counter on it.
Wow.
What?
So Peer is like hardened scales on a stick,
and
Toothy is a little bit like the draw a card, make squids chaps.
I don't
What's
know
he called?
what you're talking about. That's cool.
There's a card where whenever you draw a card, it gets a +1/+1 counter, and when it dies,
you draw that many cards.
No. You make that many squid tokens.
Oh.
So in this one, instead of making squids, you draw cards. But Peer, this is really interesting. I really like Peer, and I think this might actually potentially go into a Super Friends deck as an extra in the 99.
Oh yeah.
Because Doubling Season doesn't do this. So Doubling Season works in the way that if Doubling Season's on the battlefield, when you cast a Planeswalker, the loyalty counters are put on the Planeswalker when it enters.
Yeah.
But Doubling Season doesn't interact with the cost, so putting loyalty counters to activate their abilities is the cost. And so Doubling Season doesn't interact, whereas I'm pretty certain Peer does. And so when you do +2 on your Nicol Bolas or something,
nice.
You put +4 on instead.
I didn't know that about
+3 on. But I think this could possibly be an include in Super Friends decks. Or maybe you make a green-blue Super Friends deck.
Yeah. with big imaginary toothy friend.
Yeah.
I think this pair sets the tone. And actually this was the first card spoiled for the set in the article, but this sets the tone for the set. It's very it's whimsical. This is a guy with a giant imaginary friend, but not so imaginary because look at it. But yeah, I love this. This is really fun.
Yeah, this pair is sort of, it's not really doing anything new and exciting, but the storyline, the artwork is just quite a lot of fun. It's sort of a classic Simic sort of pairing. This is what blue and green want to do. You're going to build a fairly ordinary. I think you could probably take any Simic commander and just replace it with these two, and the deck will still function as it intended.
So this next one is Akaun, Eye of Chaos, and Zundersplut, Eye of Wisdom. This is he's a homunculus. So this is like the Flip, or whatever his name was from
Zibble. So homunculuses don't have vowels. Good
Which
to
is
know.
ironic because there's a lot of U's in their name. And
well, all the vowels got used up in the species name.
So Akaun, Eye of Chaos is 4 and a red for a 3/3 legendary creature, Cyclops Berserker, with partner with split Eye of Wisdom. At the beginning of combat on your turn, flip a coin until you lose a flip. I love that, by the way. That's just, I mean, you theoretically could go on forever.
Yep.
Whenever a player wins a coin flip, double Akaun's power and toughness until end of turn. So let's just talk about that before we go on to the next one for a second. If I win one flip, it's a 6/6. If I win 2, it's a 12/12. If I win 3, it's a 24/24. I listened to the Selvala episode the other day where we talked about doubling. This is ridiculous. Granted, it's random, but it's still cool. I really like this.
Yeah, so every coin flip you do, you've still technically got a 50% chance of winning, but the chance of actually winning 3 in a row is quite slim.
Yeah, but when it does happen, oh man, I'm one of these texts. This is sweet.
So Zinder Split, Eye of Wisdom, is 4 and a blue for a 1/4 legendary creature, Homunculus, with partner with Akaun, Eye of Chaos. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, flip a coin until you lose a flip. Same principle. Whenever a player wins a coin flip, draw a card. So what this means is you're going to flip coins for Akaun and Zundersplit if you've got them both on the battlefield.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
And every time you win one from Akaun, you draw a card. Every time you win one from Zundersplit, you draw a card. Every time you win one from Zundersplit, you double Akaun's power and toughness. Every time you win from Akaun, you double Akaun's power and toughness.
Oh,
this is nuts.
That
this is the best, probably the most fun Chaos deck possible.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be really fun for about the next 2 months, and then everybody will have done it and got bored with it, and they'll go back to playing normal Commander.
So we're saying sell your Crux thumbs now. I think it was Jason Nault said that or something. But yeah, sell your coin flips card now and. What were you saying? Buy them back.
Well, I think they all of the good coin flip cards are spiked. So this is a deck which sort of builds itself. There are only so many good coin flip cards, especially if you're not using silver bordered cards as well. And so it sort of builds itself. It's a bit obvious what cards are going to go in it. So those cards in particular look like they've spiked a bit. I think if you were to sell them now, you might well be able to buy them back in 6 months for cheaper.
Buy a few of them back.
Yeah, exactly. Disclaimer, do not trust our financial advice.
We don't know anything about money. So we've got some more commanders that don't have partner as well, which is pretty sweet. So we've got Nargila, the Blade Blossom. It's 2 and a red for a 3/2 legendary creature, human warrior. And it says, whenever a warrior attacks, you may have its controller create a 1/1 white warrior creature token that's tapped and attacking. That is ridiculous by itself. But it also has Wooburg, so white, blue, black, red, green. Untap all attacking creatures. They gain trample, lifelink, haste until end of turn. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Activate this ability only during combat. Harry, this card is ridiculous, and it's 5 colours. It's
absolutely crazy. This is a warrior tribal commander, which seems pretty cool, but it creates warriors, and if you can untap them all for Wooburg and then attack with them again, that warrior token that you've already created that turn because you attacked with a warrior is going to create another warrior. And so if you can untap everything and have another combat phase for Wooburg, you can do that again. And so if somehow you can get, say, infinite mana, which, okay, granted is really difficult to do in Commander, really hard, you could have infinite attack steps with increasingly infinite creatures.
Guess what deck this is going in?
Is this going in your General Tazri Zada deck?
Yes, it is.
Wow, I bet it is.
This is sweet. Not just because it's got Wooburg on it, but mostly just because it's got Wooburg on it.
I do really like cards like this. We've just seen one from Dominaria with Joda. Cards which you can cast more easily and then they have a 5 colour activation cost. So
really cool.
it costs 2 and a red for this creature. So even if it was 2 and a red for a legendary creature that says whenever a warrior attacks, you may have its controller create a 1/1 white warrior creature token that's tapped and attacking, that on its own would be a fantastic commander.
Yeah,
because you just get all the good red warriors and some good attack stuff, extra combat steps, whatever.
Yeah.
That on its own would be a fantastic commander for a mono red deck.
Yeah.
The fact that you can have all the colours and it's got that extra ability which gives you extra combat steps and gives them trample and lifelink, that's nuts.
It's to add to that, like the fact that it's got Wooburg on it, you can still make a deck with more than just red, but completely ignore that ability, even still. So you could make a red-white or a Mardu warrior deck, still ignore that ability, but actually if you're playing Command Tower and Exotic Orchard and stuff like that, you could make your deck a Mardu deck and still have the capacity to use that ability.
Definitely.
Why would you ignore those 2 colours though? Yeah, oh man.
Well, I've got a 4-colour deck. It's blackless and there are only 3 red spells in it. But those red spells, one of them is part of the win condition.
Yeah.
One of the main win condition. But it doesn't mean I have to fill the deck with lots of other red spells.
Yeah, exactly.
I just pick the ones I want. So yeah I love that about 5-colour, 4-colour and 5-colour decks.
Yeah.
This card really excites me. Another one that really excites me is this next one, Growth Armor, All Devouring. 3 green for a legendary creature, Worm. It's a 10/8. And it says, other creatures have, whenever this creature attacks, you may have it fight Growth Armor, All Devouring. When Growth Armor leaves the battlefield, each player draws cards equal to the amount of damage dealt to Growth Armor this turn by sources they controlled.
Wait. What? So if you hit me with Growth Armor and then it dies, I draw 10 cards?
No. If your creatures attack Growth Armor and then Growth Armor dies, you draw cards equal to the amount of damage your creatures dealt to Growth Armor. So where I think this is great is in a mono green deck where you've got lots of big creatures. Say I've got a 12/12 Hydra or a 20/20 Hydra or whatever.
Yeah.
I cast Growth Armor, I attack with my big creature, I have it fight Growth Armor, and then Growth Armor dies and I draw 20 cards. Even if it's only 12. Even if it's only 6 cards. In mono green, 5 mana to draw 6 cards is great.
Really good. I don't think there's anything left to say about Growth Armor. That is why this is a great card. So next we've got some sweet lands. I'm in awe at these lands. There's one thing missing from them, and then they'd be perfect. But they are lands that when they enter the battlefield, if you have 2 or more opponents, they enter untapped, and they tap for 2 colours. This is so good. When I first saw these, I was like, oh my gosh, we've got dual lands, but they're not fetchable. You can't use fetch lands to go and get them, but they are still dual lands that enter untapped, which is really, really cool.
It's fantastic, and we talked about it briefly at the start of last episode, and I'm just as excited now as I was then. I cannot wait to pick some of these up for my multicolour decks because they're just auto-includes. They are probably some of the best lands to be printed for Commander. They are they're not not as good as Command Tower perhaps, but they're better than most of the other 2-colour lands that people play a lot of. People are quite happy to play the Temples. The enters the battlefield tapped, scry 1. How much better are these than those?
They don't enter tapped, but they tap for 2 colours. It's unbelievable. People play the gain lands where they gain 1 life. I'd much rather have an untapped land than 1 life.
These are only in the allied colour pairs, but it's been not confirmed, but we've been told that we probably will have the enemy colour pairs before too long. But what a great design space they've entered into here. There are all sorts of other options. If you've got 2 or more opponents, I think that's a line of text that we could quite easily see on a lot of other cards, and not necessarily lands. That could be on creatures or artifacts, or an effect which gets better if you're playing Commander.
It's great, and they don't have to worry about ruining other formats like Legacy because no one's going to play this in Legacy. This is just for us. For us and for Two-Headed Giant. I love it. So Sweet. There are also loads of incredible reprints in this set.
we've said that this set is Commander Masters. I think that this is why some of these reprints are, well, they're the sort of reprints I think we'd expect from a Masters set, but these are in booster packs which cost £4 or £3.99 or whatever it is.
So the first one is Land Tax. It's white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you may search your library for up to 3 basic land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. This is a really nice card. It would be in a lot more decks if it was easy to get hold of.
And now it is. Yeah, now it's easier to get hold of. It's going to come down in price. I mean, what was it, like a $20 card or something?
Yeah,
really expensive. Priced a lot of people out of playing it, but that's why I love sets like this that reprint cards. It just makes it more accessible and keeps these cards available for people to play with.
Exactly.
I love that that's what's happened to Swords to Plowshares. This is a 1 white instant, exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. I think this is possibly the most efficient removal spell in Commander. I think this is possibly the best removal spell in Commander. Generally, we don't care about giving somebody life if it's to remove their best creature.
Exactly.
This card has just been reprinted again and again and again, and it's just hit rock bottom price.
Which is good.
I think that's such a good thing. It just means it's available for people to play with, and it makes the game accessible for everybody.
Exactly, yeah. This next card definitely needed a reprint. This is Mystic Confluence. It's 3 blue for an instant. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once, and it's got three modes. Counter target spell unless its controller plays 3. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Draw a card. I love this. Whether it's to counter a spell and draw 2 cards or 1 card, or this is like people were comparing this to Cryptic Command when it came out. I don't think it's as good, but this card is sweet. It wasn't easy to get. It was printed in Magic Commander 2015, I think, in the Mizzix deck. Yeah, I can't own enough of these. I want another one. I've only got one, so this is sweet. This is coming out again.
Yeah.
We've also got Diabolic Intent, which is 1 and a black for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand. Shuffle your library.
Wow.
I mean, that's sweet.
Yeah, this was a very expensive card, and it's is it played in Legacy?
I wouldn't know. I didn't actually know the card existed until you put it in the show notes.
Oh, okay. It's this is quite a popular tutor in older formats. Until recently it's been a very expensive card, and I just think again making this accessible for Commander players is great. Yeah. One of my favourite cards in the whole set. This is, I think, up there as probably my favourite red card. This is Boldwyr Intimidator. It's 5 red for a giant warrior. It's a 5/5, and it says cowards can't block warriors. For a red, target creature becomes a coward until end of turn, and for 2 and a red, target creature becomes a warrior until end of turn.
This is sweet.
I love this card. I've been trying to find a deck to put it in for ages, and I've just found it. It was originally printed in Time Spiral, and it was sort of a bit of a joke. So putting cards like this in is great. Old cards, it's not valuable, but it's fun, and it's these sort of reprints that I like, as well as the value reprints. Because it just reminds us that Wizards are really interested in how the game is played and and interactions and decisions. The whole game is about decisions, and this just increases how many decisions you have. And I just think it's a fun card to have.
Yeah, if I could change one thing about this card, I would change its flavor text to "Cowards can't block warriors." I think that would have just completely ticked this card. It would have been perfect if it said that on the card twice. That'd be
brilliant.
I think the biggest and probably the most anticipated reprint yet, and I can't believe it's taken as long as it has, is Doubling Season. It's 4 and a green for an enchantment. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. If an effect would put 1 or more counters on a permanent you control, it puts twice that many of those counters on that permanent instead. This card was so expensive. It was like 60-70 quid at one point. It's just stupid.
I think it's never going to be a cheap card.
No.
And this is being reprinted at Mythic, and so it will come down in price, definitely. But I think that in the next couple of months is going to be the time to pick this card up if you want one, because it will go straight back up in price. It's never going to be a cheap card. Do you think that if you had to pick one card to explain Commander, it would be Doubling Season.
Yes, Doubling Season definitely is a great way of saying this is why this format is great. Look, this card that would be rubbish in other formats because it's 5 mana. It's great. It's not necessarily rubbish in other formats,
but it is. It's not, it's not one of the best cards in any other format, but in this format, this is probably one of the best cards.
Yeah, it's a game-winning card for sure.
Yeah. We've also got Greater Good. This is a fantastic reprint, another expensive card, which is just nice to get these into the hands of the players. Yeah. 2 green for an enchantment, sacrifice a creature and draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power, then discard 3 cards.
Great.
I know a deck that this is going in, and I suspect that a lot of our listeners will also have a deck that they want this for.
Yeah, I bet. It. Next one is Seedborn Muse. Again, another card that sorely needed reprinting. It's a 3 green for a 2/4 creature spirit. Untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step.
I'm so excited about this. I've wanted one for ages. I want one of these. This is a great card. Very powerful. We wondered why this wasn't banned, but I don't think this is quite powerful. It's sort of at the power level where it's almost powerful enough to be banned.
Yeah.
But it's just not quite there, and that's a nice little sweet spot where you really want to be using these sorts of cards.
Yeah. I think this is just on the line, and Paradox Engine is touching the line. It's pushing it up, seeing how
I think so. Yeah, sure.
So we've also got Vigor. It's 3 green for a 6/6 creature elemental incarnation. Goodness, that's a long title. It's got trample, and it says if damage would be dealt to another creature you control, prevent that damage. Put a 1/1 counter on that creature for each 1 damage prevented this way. When Vigor is put into a graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it into its owner's library. So it's got the Eldrazi Titan kind of clause, so you can't cheat it out. But that ability is insane. If I try and burn your creature, it's just going to get bigger.
Yeah, this is a card which sort of prevents attacks coming your direction, because blocking for you is profitable. I think this is a card which, when I started playing EDH, was quite famous. A lot of people were recommending I put this in a deck, but I haven't actually seen that many of them, and I think it's probably because it's quite scarce.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Does this go in Selvala?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a big green creature with a great effect, so I think it probably does.
This next card's sweet, Harry.
Yeah, this is just the last reprint will do. It's Spectral Searchlight, and I am so excited about this card. It's an artifact for 3 mana which says tap, choose a player, that player adds 1 mana of any colour they choose. So we're talking about political cards. This is a political card.
Yeah.
This is a mana rock for you. It's a 3 mana rock which taps for any mana, any colour of mana. But even better, you can hold it up and offer somebody else some mana on their turn to help them cast something in order to have a little favour in return.
You can cast an entire assist card, essentially, by giving them the coloured mana they need and then paying the rest.
Yes, correct.
That'd be pretty weird.
That's a very long way round. There are plenty of other good reprints. A lot of the great reprints in this set are green. It's super green heavy on the reprints.
It really is. Yeah, I wondered whether it was just because you put these in the show notes.
No, it's just that the best reprints and the most expensive reprints happen to be green. But there are loads of other cool cards in the set, and we just want to talk about a few of them before we wrap up. Tim, do you want to take this first one? I think you'll like this.
So yeah, this is Archfiend of Despair. This is a 6 black for a 6/6 creature demon. So it's got the classic 6s that wizards like to put on their demons. And it's flying. Your opponents can't gain life. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn. Damage causes loss of life is a little reminder text. This is one of those crazy EDH cards that just like screams EDH.
It's 8 mana, but it's sort of like 8 mana because on the turn you cast it, you're going to win, probably.
Yeah, pretty much, definitely.
Yeah. Is it Wound Reflection? Is the card that this is like? Wound Reflection basically has that same text. at the end
Yeah,
step.
I don't know.
But this is, I just think this is a potentially really powerful card. It's quickly going to become a bit of, maybe not a staple, but a very popular card.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to at least want to try this out.
Yeah, this is sweet.
The next one is War's Toll. It's 3 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent taps land for mana, tap all lands that player controls. And if a creature an opponent controls attacks, all creatures that opponent controls attack if able. They should have called this card All or Nothing.
Oh yeah, they should. Yeah. Oh man, Harry, you should go into the creative side of Magic.
I've got a few ideas. Let me tell you, wizards. But no, this. How does this card work? It basically means, because obviously, like, in response to that trigger, saying tap all lands that player controls, they can tap their lands to get mana.
Yeah.
But it means that if they want to cast something in an upkeep step, they don't then have mana in their main phase. Or, if they want to cast a spell in their main phase, they don't have mana to play around with in combat. And it means they can't strategically attack with one creature, because they have to attack with their mana dorks or their utility creatures as well.
This card is horrible. I'm smiling, but inside I'm dying. This card is horrible. This is the Blood Moon 2.0, but not quite as bad. It's Blood Moon 0.5.
Well, it turns off your creatures, effectively. It doesn't turn them off. You still get to attack somebody with them. You don't get to choose, this card doesn't say you have to attack another player or whatever. You get to choose the best way to attack, but it really screws up a lot of decks. I feel like you don't like. Do you not like it because you don't want to play against it, or do you actually not like it?
I don't like it. I feel like countering someone's spell. There's a political part about it. The way you do it has a huge impact on how it's received. If you do it like a mug, then it's going to be received like that. But when you play this card, there's nothing you can do but just completely turn everyone's decks off.
Yeah,
you have no choice. I'm not saying don't play this card, but I definitely wouldn't. I definitely can't.
But that's it. You're not turning everybody's decks off until it gets removed. They can still cast spells. They can still attack.
Yeah.
It sort of makes it adds a bit of a chaos element, I feel.
Yeah. It's a horrid card. The next one, maybe I'll like it a bit more. Bramble Sovereign is 2 green for a 4/4 creature dryad, and it says whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 and a green. If you do, that creature's controller creates a token that's a copy of that creature. Harry, I can tell you now that I do like this card a lot more.
Fantastic. I found a similar card recently in red, which does the same thing for 1 red. So I think that it belongs in green.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
This is a much better card in green. There are so many uses for this. If you've got big beaters, if you've got utility spells, if you've got an Iona that shuts off, you want to shut off 2 colours instead of 1.
Yeah, no, don't go there, Harry. Don't ruin this wonderful card.
Sorry, what? I can't hear you, Tim. What a great utility.
Yeah,
spell.
It's as good as your best creature. What I really like about this, again, political element. It doesn't say you. It's when a creature enters the battlefield, you can pay 1 and a green. So you can give someone, say, I'll give you another one if you don't attack me with it. Attack that guy with it. I'll give you 2 giant beaters. Yeah, this is sweet.
Definitely. A similar card is Arcane Artisan. It's 2 and a blue for an 0/3 human wizard. For 2 and a blue, you can tap it, and target player draws a card, and then exiles a card from their hand. If a creature card is exiled this way, that player creates a token that's a copy of that card, and when it leaves the battlefield, exile all tokens created with it at the beginning of the next end step. So you're probably going to target yourself with this, knowing that you've got a good target to exile in your hand. Yeah. So you exile a creature card, and you get a copy of it as a token, which means that for 2 and a blue, you can create a token copy of, say, Ulamog.
That's horrible. You don't want to do something with a cast trigger, because that would just be a waste.
Oh, sure, yeah, of course.
But Blightsteel Colossus.
Yes, a better example. Yeah. Definitely.
just any creature that's costs more than 3 mana.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a little bit like, say, like Joda's effect. You play Wooburg instead of the mana cost.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like making your creatures cheaper. Granted, it's a token which is easy to get rid of, and also if you get rid of Arcane Artisan, you get rid of all the tokens at the beginning of the next end step. But I really like that. It's at the beginning of the next end step.
It's not straight away.
If Arcane Artisan is removed in combat while all those tokens are attacking somebody, they continue to attack that player and they stick around until the end of the turn.
Yeah.
I do like that. It makes it takes it from being rubbish to being quite good.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's that card that ends the turn as well. If you can end the turn before the end step, then you get to keep the tokens.
Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty fringe, but
yeah.
I really like this set, Harry. This is really sweet.
Do you want to be my partner in a Battlebond draft?
Yes, I do. That's a
great
quick answer. I do want to do that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. I love. It's worth noting. I don't think we've mentioned it that if you get a partner commander in a pack, you're guaranteed to have the other partner in the same pack, which I think is such a good idea because it would suck if you got Peer but don't get Toothy. So that's
it just eliminates all the feel bads. I love that because when you draft this, because you're drafting as 2 players in 1 seat, you take 2 cards from each pack, which enables you to take the partners.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for them to go all the way around the table and hope that you get it later on.
Yeah. This is really fun. I'm really excited about it. I love new formats. I love trying new things. But I think Wizards is really kind of pushing the boat, and I keep doing it because this is great.
I don't think I've ever played Two-Headed Giant.
I have played a Commander version. It was 2-1-2-1-2, and it went on for a very long time, but it was fun.
Wow. Okay. I'm looking forward to giving it a go with 60 card decks. Playing straight up Battlebond. I think that will be... Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I think we haven't taken up on their challenge previously, but maybe we could challenge fishing to a Two-Headed Giant game. Because
I think they challenged us to a Two-Headed... I think in the end we were going to do Two-Headed Giant, weren't we?
Perfect.
I think so. So
bring it on.
Well, this just gives us more tools to use against them.
Oh man, we're going to lose. I'm really bad at actual playing Magic, deck building. Give me it. I'm in my element. But
those guys play Legacy. They must be good.
Oh dear.
So I think that's all we've got time for in terms of reviewing Battlebond. There are so many other good cards, so go and look at where you get your spoilers and look at some of these cards. There are some great interactions to be had, and I think that drafting the set is going to be a lot of fun, and then playing with the cards you got from the draft is going to be a lot of fun as well. That's something I love about this set, is it occupies what the same slot that Conspiracy occupied, and where Conspiracy was a little bit rubbish if you weren't drafting it. So it's obviously rubbish to open packs of Conspiracy because of all the draft matters cards that you just have no interest in. But if you do draft it, what do you do with those cards afterwards? Battlebond, at least, the cards are fantastic for Commander. So you're not going to walk away from the draft with a handful of cards and think, what on earth am I going to do with these? Okay, and put them in draft chaff. You're just going to take them home and use them in your Commander decks, because I think there's a lot of fun to be had with this.
I'm quite happy for them to do this every year as well. They do a master set for Modern and a Commander master set with Battlebond or some crazy multiplayer format.
Definitely. I think this is, like I've said a couple of times in the episode, this is sort of exploring new avenues, and I think by exploring these avenues it's opened up new design space that is... I'm quite excited to see where they go with these sorts of multiplayer cards. Yeah. I think there's a lot of directions they could go, and it's quite promising for the upcoming Commander set this year and for future Commander sets as well. They've got to possibly do something a bit different now that they've been doing Commander sets for quite a long time. And so this is potentially some new space that they could move into with the Commander sets as well.
I'm just more excited now for the next Commander set, just talking about all the stuff that they could do. I'm mainly also just the rest of those lands that come in untapped.
Yes, please. Enemy colour pairs in Commander 2018, please.
Thank you very much. Please, thank you. Please.
So if you want to find us on social media, you can find us on Twitter at TPSMTG.
If you want to email us, you can email us at turnpapersideways@gmail.com.
And we'll put these details in the show notes and any other links that we think are important.
Yep.
Is there anything, Tim, you would like to say to our listeners before we go?
Yes. Don't play War's Toll because it doesn't seem like a very fun card.
But do play Doubling Season.
And do play War's Toll if you want to, just not against me. Play it when we're on a team.
Great. Well, thank you for listening. We will be back in a couple of weeks with more exciting content.
Cheerio. So we've also got Vigor.
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 Vigor.